At the moment I'm reviewing filings to look at the quality of XBRL in the current financial reporting window. And we put some new tools into XBRL Sheet that enables us to monitor when filings come in, and in fact also to filter which ones we can see. And I thought it would be useful to show you how you can do this, because obviously it would also be useful in order to monitor potential investments or your existing investments. I'm going to show you 3 new features in XBRL Sheet in this respect. I'm going to talk to you about our watch list feature, which is something I've been using quite heavily in the work I've been doing. I'm also going to show you how you can filter by the latest filing date, and also how you can also screen by industry too. So with all these features you can do some fairly precise monitoring of potential investments. So I'm monitoring all the commercial and industrial companies in the S&P 500. So I've put together a little list of all their tickers over here. As you can see, quite a big list. It's about 250 all told, and that represents all those which are filing 10Ks in the current financial reporting season. And I've split them into smaller groups, just makes it easier for XBRL Sheet to digest. And once I've done that, I can go to the Data tab and click on Refresh All, and that will run all the queries. As you can see, it's done for this particular page, and what I get back is a list of all those filings for those companies, so I can see just how recently they've filed. So for example, I can see PayPal filed at the beginning of February on the 8th. These 3 companies are blank because they haven't filed at all yet for this particular reporting season, and that's what my query picks up. Facebook again was an early filer right at the beginning of February. Coca-Cola only filed very recently on the 24th of February. So we get a quick idea of exactly which companies have filed and which are yet to file, and therefore those ones that we might want to monitor going forward. So I can control this query in one of 2 ways. I can control which companies are in my watch list, which I've generated here using an Excel function from my list of tickers down here. Fantastic new function called text join. Didn't used to be in Excel, so it was a pain in the backside if you were trying to create a list with commas in. Now it's a very easy thing to do. So I've created 5 lists there, and basically what I do in order to control which companies I'm monitoring is I put this list together here, and then I say Control C, copy in effect, and then I just bring it over to my fill-in boxes over here, and then I just paste in my values. So there we go, just paste in the values, and it makes a copy of the list I've created over here. So I'm using the same boxes I use here to specify which companies to bring down as filings in XBRL Sheet in order to monitor my watch list. So I basically split my watch list up into 5 groups in a very similar way to the fact that I have 5 filings whenever I am in this particular example sheet. Now we can change the dates for these queries in exactly the same way as we change dates for any queries in XBRL Sheet. So if we go to this box here and say we want to look at very recent filings, so let's change the date to what was for me yesterday. So let's change that to the 28th of February, or very end of February. And once we've set that date, if we then refresh our queries, what we will get is filings that have happened in the last 24 hours. And as you can see, not surprising, there aren't that many, but there are some. Dominion Resources, that filed for the first time in this reporting season then, and anyone else? Amarum Corp did as well. So yeah, and there's a few more besides. But yeah, it's what you'd expect, very few filings. But being able to do this obviously means that you can keep track of exactly what's happening in the market, and in fact keep up with the market by seeing which companies have filed their latest financial values, and obviously then you can download them using XBRL Sheet. So that's how we can use a watch list, but we may not know which companies we want to look at. We may just be interested in what companies have filed most recently, and we can do that by getting rid of these lists over here. So if we just get rid of, there we go, yeah, it's gone. And the other one, don't need to worry about getting rid of these lists because we've got copies on the other side, so that's absolutely fine, and eventually they will all go, which is great. And so say for example we just want to look at yeah, every company that filed yesterday. So let's rerun this query over here and click on refresh. and we can see every company which has filed yesterday. So yeah, quite a few filed 10Ks yesterday, yeah, whether it's 10Ks or Qs is determined by this box here: 4 for Ks, 1 for Qs. So we probably shouldn't be too surprised to see Amarin Corp on our list, as we know it filed in the last 24 hours, along with all these other companies. Now, we might want to do a more precise search in order to see companies perhaps that are similar to Amarin, which have filed in the same period. So to do that, we can take its ticker. So let's just copy that and paste it here, paste the value so we don't lose any of our wonderful formatting. And if we go over here to some boxes we've never used before and put in the word filer, that tells the query something interesting, as we shall see when we then refresh it over here. What it's done is it's brought down companies which are the same, in that what it's done is it's searched for companies that have exactly the same SIC code as Amarin Corp. Now, in this case, for the last 24 hours, we've only got one company that has exactly the same SIC code, basically Amarin, the company we had to start with. So that hasn't been particularly useful, but we can do more than just specify filers. For example, if we want to, we can put in specific SIC codes. So maybe let's put in a range. So let's start with let's just widen it out a bit. As you probably know, as you sort of go further up the SIC codes, you get broader. So if, for example, we missed off the last 2 digits, so basically we're putting in 49 and we're going to 50. Oops, too many digits. And we rerun this query over here. Let's see what we get. Yep, now we've got some similar companies, haven't got exactly the same SIC code, but they've got SIC codes obviously in the same region. We can see that quite clearly from the names. If we just expand this out a bit, we can see we've got Dominion, which is what we would expect, because both of these companies operate in the area of electric and gas. And we've also got Centrepoint Energy and Covanta. So, and all of these have filed in the last 24 hours. So slowly but surely you're beginning to see the power of these queries in order to get to precisely a group of companies that you might well be very interested in comparing against each other. There's one other thing we can do with these latest filing queries. If we just want to look at the filings for one particular company, we can do that by specifying just the name of the filer there, which we've already got. So why don't we have a look at Amarin Corp. And again, if we set a date range, so if we want to see everything that Amarin has ever filed, what we can do is set this to a ridiculously low date, so maybe 2000, and yeah, the end of 2000, and we've got the date set correctly there, we've got the ticker there. And if we go across to our query and just refresh that, we will see all the 10Ks that Amarin Corp have filed. And interestingly, actually, you can see it goes back to 2010. So yeah, we got 7 filings, which is great. But also, it shows us that over that time, it's changed its name. Now, yeah, why don't we, because we've been previously talking in other videos about the fact that you can now see 10 years worth of XBRL data. Why don't we have a look at a company that I know has got 10 years of case. So let's go and have a look at Chevron, which I believe is CVX. Let's see if that's right, and do the same thing again. Refresh, and there we go. We can see that Chevron, with its very latest filing, which happened a few days ago, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we've got 10 years of data, potentially 11 if you think about the fact that the income statement and cash flow will have figures going back 3 years. So yeah, that's all you can do with our latest filing queries. The mechanics of how those filings work are very similar to the way that our normal queries work, but yeah, they are slightly different in that you need to specify slightly different attributes. What I'll do is put it together another video or a blog or something which explains how you can change that query to meet your own specific requirements.